Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Tonight is night number 1 of 5 brand new recipes that will be perfect for the fall, busy weeknights, just some good old comforting food when the weather starts to shift. If you're lucky and you're already getting the cold fronts, I wish. We haven't got them yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and start with night number 1. This one I think is gonna be the fastest to put together and the easiest one to be kid friendly with this whole video, but it is a chicken bacon ranch Alfredo pasta. Found it on TikTok, super easy. That's why you already used cooked chicken, and I'm already getting the water ready to boil those. Also, I'm about to have my husband cut this up because I don't like to do that, so that's his job. And you're going to need to go ahead and fry up 6 strips of bacon. But that's literally the majority of the work. Boil the noodles, cook the bacon, chop up the chicken, and then everything just goes together in a pan and gets baked on 375. I'll show you. Anytime noodles are going to go in the oven, they will continue to cook. So always go to the lowest time on your box. Mine is 10 minutes for al dente. I'm stopping at 10 minutes and draining them regardless. Using my fun stitch pan for tonight. But he literally threw his noodles into the pan, all of his chicken. This was a small rotisserie chicken, so we did both breast, and I think he did like a thigh and a half. Half of your bacon. I'm just gonna kind of draw a little line down the plate. Throw it in. An entire ranch packet. Throw that over everything. It's at a 15-ounce jar. I only have the 22-ounce jar, so mine's gonna have some sauce, and that actually makes me happy, so I'm putting the whole jar in there. Calls for 1 cup of cheddar cheese, so you're gonna put half of the cheddar cheese into it, half a cup. That's a little more than half a cup, but oh well. And then a cup and a half of shredded mozzarella, half of it going in, so about 3/4 of a cup into the mixture. Carefully mix this up until everything is combined really well. Pretty good and mixed to me. I'm gonna try and 1 layer it. Now you put the remainder of your amount of cheese, so about another 3/4 cup of the mozzarella across the top, another half a cup of cheddar, and then sprinkle the rest of your bacon over the top. Then put this in the oven, 375 for 15 to 20 minutes, just until it's heated through and starts to bubble around the edge. This is 18 minutes I did in the middle. All the bubbly goodness, you can hear it. Okay, let it cool for just a few minutes, then serve it up. The cheese pool serving up the kids on their plates was insane. Look at that. That is awesome. There's my bowl, so you can see all the different components. We're gonna try it and let you know. Husband going back in for a second bowl, if that tells you anything. Absolutely delicious. It does have a lot of cheese, so you could cut back on some of the cheese if you want to. My husband says nope. The crispy, fresh done bacon is a must for the texture of this. I don't think that little shaky bag stuff I normally use as a shortcut would be as good in here. And the 22-ounce jar was perfectly fine. It just made it a little extra creamy than it would have been with the slightly smaller jar. But this one, definite winner. Perfect way to start off this video, because wow. On to dinner number 2. This was one of the ones I was most intrigued about and what pretty much started this whole week worth of videos. And I'm using pot stickers, and we're going to make soup. Very few ingredients are needed for this, and this is actually just garnish. But you're gonna have garlic, ginger, soy sauce, sesame oil, and rice wine vinegar if you have it. Mine was expired. Some chicken broth or chicken stock, pot stickers, and then you could do bok choy, mushrooms, or carrots. I don't have either of the other two, so I'm gonna put a few carrots in there. Large pot, I'm not even worried about bringing out the big old cast iron ones, not dealing with that, and it says medium, medium high. Tablespoon of sesame oil. So that looks good for me. Let that heat up. I got my carrots sliced up really, really thin. That way they cook faster. And I have to peel some of this back so I can get to the ginger. And you can peel ginger with a spoon. You can literally peel ginger with a spoon and just take that layer off. And put the carrots in there so they can start softening. Ginger I'm gonna grate it on my little microplane, 2 teaspoons worth.
2 teaspoons?
Oh, wrong side.
That's right.
No, baby, that thing's really sharp. They're not soft yet, but they're still gonna cook down in the soup, so they'll be okay at this point. We have to add the ginger.
Oh, I want to add it.
I'll let you add the garlic. 2 cloves of garlic. I'm just using garlic. About that much on a teaspoon. Go ahead, Gwen. Careful, don't touch the pot. Cook this for 1 minute. Gonna break out the wooden spoon. You're going to use the whole box. Where the ginger is sticking, you're gonna want to deglaze that. So just a little bit of liquid and scrape with a wooden spoon. The whole box. Can you carefully put the whole box? There you go. Good job. Trying to get this up to a simmer, but you also need to add 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. I use reduced sodium. I like to be able to control the salt.
Can I pour it in?
There you go. This needs to come to a simmer and then simmer for 10 minutes. While I'm waiting for this to simmer, I do want to add something, because if you go into the description box looking for this recipe, the picture, when you click on it, you're going to see the carrots, which are not actually listed in the recipe. I added that part myself. So if you're going to do carrots, you have to follow what I'm doing in this video. Otherwise, everything else would be if you were adding the mushrooms and or bok choy. We don't like bok choy around here. And I'm the only one, maybe Connor a little bit, would have eaten the mushrooms, kind of like that clear mushroom soup at an Asian restaurant, like a hibachi place. Love that. But my kids won't touch it if they see the mushrooms, so that's why we skipped it. It has simmered. Now it says add 12 to 15 frozen pot stickers. 2, 3, 11. That's what 12 looks like. 13, 14. I'm going for the full 15. And then get this back to a simmer and simmer it for 5 to 7 minutes. I always like to make sure everything's fully cooked through. So I'm gonna stick the thermometer in these. 170, so yeah, these are safe. I'm gonna take 2 in the bottom. For garnish, it says a drizzle of the sesame oil if you want to. And I do like sesame oil. And then green onions. And you could put sesame seeds as well, but then that's ready to eat. My kids were not interested in this, but it was very good. I will say the drizzle I put of sesame oil, don't do that. It made mine taste weird. But I also forgot salt and pepper in my bowl. My husband's that had it in it was better. So I would not add the drizzle, but I would add the more salt and pepper in here. Otherwise, flavor-wise, this is really good. It was super easy. My husband, he doesn't really like this type of concept. He would just rather have the pot stickers and dip them in something. So, but for me, I think it's really good. Dinner time again, and tonight's dinner recipe, I had to go really searching for because it's something that I've wanted from a Disney festival. I love all the festivals at Epcot. At the Food and Wine Festival, the Germany booth gets this little ham and cheese noodly thing. I can't pronounce the name of it to save my life, so I'm not going to, but that's what we're making, is a German ham and cheese noodly thing from Epcot. Step 1, you're going to need to boil a whole pound of elbow macaroni to al dente, like the lowest time on the box, whatever it says, then we'll catch back up. While the noodles are boiling, there's some other things you're gonna need to do. It calls for white cheddar and Swiss cheese, but it only calls for 4 ounces of each, which is half a block, and shred it or buy it pre-shredded, whichever one you wanna do. And then I'm bringing these up to room temperature, but 2 eggs and 2 cups of heavy cream, which is one of these entire pints. And then the recipe I found does not have the ham. So I have a 1 pound ham steak boneless. I'm just gonna dice this up really small while I'm doing all the cheese. Hands down, one of my favorite kitchen gadgets is the cheese grater. And the cheese. Wow, it just eats that white cheddar. Also, mix this together because you're gonna need to put half of it aside for the topping. Noodles need to cool a tiny bit because they're gonna be going mixed in with raw eggs. And then as far as the ham goes, I did it in like really, really tiny little cubes. Get a large bowl, crack both of your eggs in. Who is?
Declan.
Nice.
But not me.
And 2. And the entire thing of heavy whipping cream. Pour that in. Whisk all this together. Next in here, it only says like a pinch of each one, but we're gonna put some salt. We're gonna do some pepper. They said white pepper, I'm assuming because they don't want anything visible, but I have normal. And then a pinch of nutmeg. So I'm just kinda gonna, like that. Whisk all that together. Smells like I'm making eggnog. And put like half of that into here. Save a cup of this, but I'm not gonna try and explain that to her. Go ahead and put it in. Keep going. Okay, we're also gonna mix in the ham. I just dropped some on the floor. The dogs will be happy. The noodles, which this should have probably gotten a bigger bowl, so hold on. But mix all your noodles in too. I told you the dogs would be happy. They just ate the ham on the floor.
Maybe we shouldn't have gotten a bigger bowl.
Yes, we definitely should have gotten a bigger bowl, baby girl. The recipe says a 16 by 9. This is the one up from my 13 by 9. I don't know what this one is, but my 13 by 9 definitely looked too small next to that bowl. And it also doesn't specify to spray it. I'm doing it anyways. We're gonna take the entire mixture and pour it into that pan.
Kind of looks good.
Five Below has eyeball, little play balls. Try and flatten it out into one even layer. And then take your remaining cheese and sprinkle it over the top. Gotta sprinkle it all over, not just in one spot. Cover it in foil. Ham corn, no. Okay. Okay. Don't put the extra cheese on just yet. You're actually supposed to cook it for 30 minutes, then take the foil off and put the cheese on, so my cheese might burn. Wait to put the cheese on. Put into a 375-degree oven, 30 minutes. 30 minutes, just got done. So now you take the foil off and back in the oven for another 15 minutes. This is 45 minutes. Now it also specifies to let this cool for 10 minutes before you try and cut it because it wants it to stay in squares. If this will actually cut into squares. Scoop this out for the tiny two. Oh, okay, it kind of comes out in a square. Kinda, and also kinda not. It's not gonna be the pretty squares like Food and Wine. That's just not happening over here. Really messy, which is completely different than what I was going for. Smells really good. I'll let you guys know what it's like. And Gwen has requested outdoor dining tonight, so that's what we're gonna do. And Brianna also made homemade garlic cheesy bread. Is this the thing from Food and Wine? Absolutely not. It's basically a white mac and cheese with ham. It could use some onion. It can use a little extra seasoning. Flavor, it's really good. I'm not gonna lie, like I keep sitting here picking noodles, but it's definitely not scratching the Food and Wine itch. And it feels like it's missing some stuff. On to dinner number 4, and this one has the most actual fall flavors of all the recipes in the video. I found this one on TikTok. I don't really know exactly what to call it because it's a sausage butternut squash tortellini soup is what I keep calling it. But basically we're going to make the butternut squash soup, and then when it's all pureed and thick and beautiful, then we're going to add back in the cooked sausage, tortellini, kale, some good stuff for some chunkiness. So it's almost like a sauce for I'm hoping it's more soup-like than sauce-like, but we'll see. Large pot, medium-high, and 1 tablespoon of olive oil. You're going to cook down your sausage until it's completely cooked through. This is the sausage I'm referring to, mild Italian ground sausage, or you can buy it in the things, but take it out of the casings because you don't want to deal with that. So that's why I buy it this way. And as far as the vegetables go, for the beginning part, you are going to peel all of this and dice it down. You don't have to go too fine because you are doing an immersion blender, but they all need to be roughly the same size. And yes, that is a Granny Smith apple going into this soup. When the sausage is fully cooked, slotted spoon and get it all out of there because you want to keep some of that grease. Yeah, it looks only about a tablespoon left in mine. Otherwise, you have to drain some of it out. The onion's got my eyeballs. Oh, holy cow. Okay, in there, apples and carrots and the evil onion that just burned the crap out of my eyes. It says about 7 minutes. Loud pot, but I don't know what magic is happening in there. That smells incredible. Recipe said 7 minutes. This is 7 minutes, so we're gonna move on. I'm using garlic. It says 4 cloves of minced garlic. So I just do like a good teaspoon and a half of this stuff. Cook this for 1 to 2 minutes. We're gonna move on to the chicken stock, chicken broth, whichever one you wanna do, but if you do chicken broth, do reduce sodium. The stock is already lower sodium. If you didn't know that, hold on. Since this is a cooking video, here are the nutritional facts, side by side. Calories, protein, sodium, and everything. 21 grams, 22. This is your reduced sodium with the 22%, by the way. It says 4 to 6 cups. Last time I made a butternut squash soup, it was too thick. Okay, so there is 4 cups. I'm debating doing all 6. But we'll see once I put the squash in there. It says a pound of diced up butternut squash. These are each 10-ounce bags. I'm just gonna put both of these in there. I'm not fighting with a fresh butternut squash. That's on you if you want to. I don't want to splash myself. Hey babe, will you find the fresh sage in the fridge, please? I need that.
Hi.
In it goes. Stir that up.
Got it.
Nice. And then 1 sprig of fresh sage is what it specifies. Let me try and get this open. That's like a little baby sprig though.
And then say what determines a sprig?
We're gonna go for one of these big mamas in there. Simmer, not full-blown rolling boil. Simmer. Working on bringing this up to its simmer. If you want heat, this is when you also add some of this, however much you want, up to I think it said about a half a teaspoon. But when you add in that sprig is when you're gonna add this. I'm skipping it. Mine is almost to a simmer. I've been stirring it and keeping it moving because it will take a little longer since I used frozen butternut squash. That was just like throwing 2 giant bags of ice cubes in there. So it does take a little bit longer to get the temperature back up, but you can see stuff moving around. It's starting to come up to simmer. Once it does, you're gonna stick a lid on it and turn this thing down to medium-low for 20 to 25 minutes until all of the vegetables are fork tender. 25 minutes is what I used. Now you're gonna go ahead and take that sprig out first. Now you're going to puree this. You could do it in your blender. If you have one of these cute little immersion blenders, you can use that. That's what I'm going to do. But puree that completely. I lied, my bad. Before you puree, you need to add half a cup of half and half. I lied, I forgot that step. It's in there now. This is a much thinner soup than the last one, and I didn't even go over the 4 cups yet. So we'll see once I add everything back in. Starting with the sausage. 2 cups of chopped up kale. And then a 16-ounce bag of refrigerated cheese tortellini. You know, these little things from the refrigerated section. I could either get 10 ounces or 20 ounces. I figured more tortellini is better, so we're putting all 20 ounces in, which is the reason why I said maybe more liquid. Goes in. Those are bigger tortellini than the frozen ones I buy. I'm not mad at that consistency. I will check with my family, see if they want me to thin it at all, but otherwise the 4 cups looks pretty good. Heat this up for about 5 minutes, just until the tortellini are cooked all the way through, and then everything's done. Seeing as how I forgot this on one of the other recipes, also it says to season with salt and pepper. Once it's done, it's 5 minutes. I'm not waiting because I will forget again, and just go ahead and start serving it up. Of course I'm using my little pumpkin dish. You know I'm gonna do that. But then there's the texture and consistency of everything. Looks really, really good. Gwen, stop with the ball. For garnish, it says some shredded Parmesan cheese and fresh basil. Y'all know I don't have that, so I'm just gonna put a little sprinkling of dry basil on it. There is my finished bowl. I will let you know shortly how it tastes, but right now, my lid's going on so I can make the kids' plates. Got caught up in a show, completely forgot to give a review on that soup, and we've already cleaned up the kitchen. Like, there's no more soup to even show you the pot. It was actually really, really good. The texture was more of a sauce on the noodles. Like in my bowl, I had a fork and a spoon, but either way, it was still really good. My husband added extra salt and pepper. He said that helped, but the flavor was really great for him. My oldest doesn't like butternut squash, so he said it wasn't for him. But I mean, obviously it's a butternut squash base, so that's your own judgment on that one. Otherwise, yes, highly recommend that one. On to dinner number 5. Now this one I was very intrigued about, and I didn't actually pay attention to it. I'm gonna explain what I mean by that, but we're going to make a cottage pie, which is basically a shepherd's pie, but instead of lamb, it's beef, and we're putting it in the slow cooker. The first part that intrigued me is your beef goes in raw. I don't have to brown this, saute it, nothing, so it is literally a dump and go recipe. That sold me right there. But then I was like, I don't have to do the oven. I don't have to do any of that. Wrong. Wow, my husband put this away dirty, so just ignore that. This, if your crock pot is oven safe, then this will make a difference to you. I do not know if this insert is oven safe or not. I do know that this one is. This is my multi-cooker. I love this thing because if I had to brown the meat, I could brown it in there, put everything else in here, put the lid on, and set it to slow cooker. It's fine, but what I can also do is when this is done slow cooking and I put the mashed potatoes on top to crisp them up, if you want it nice and brown and crispy on top, you do need your insert to be able to go in the oven. If it cannot, you could still make this recipe. It just will not have that crispy brownness on top. I wanted to get that out there before you fell in love with this recipe, just in case. You will not have the same top that I'm gonna have on mine later if your insert cannot go in the oven or you don't have one of those browning torch things. I don't have one. I would love one. Don't have one. But mine can go in the oven. Check yours. All increments of all of this will be in the description box down below, but the first thing I'm gonna do is a fine dice on the onion, 1 stalk of celery, and both the carrots, which I gotta peel those still too. But that's my first step. This was also in metric. So it said 600 grams of ground beef. I literally went to the store and found the equivalent closest thing I can get, which was 1.32 is actually what it should be, but I found 1.39. Let's put that in. 1 onion, 2 carrots, and 1 stalk of celery. Throw all this in. Can of tomatoes, I'm going with petite diced. Whole thing. Tomato paste, 2 tablespoons of this. So there's 1 and 2. None of these seasonings had any kind of measurements. This wash your sister in the shower, it did not have a measurement, so I'm going with a tablespoon. Just throw that in. It says garlic and rosemary, no measurements. So I'm gonna go about a teaspoon, teaspoon and a half. Same thing with the garlic powder. Oh, that's a lot of garlic powder. So I'm gonna put some of that back in the bottle. 100 milliliters, which I have milliliters on this measuring cup, but 100 milliliters of beef stock. That's 60. That's 100. It also wants 2 bay leaves, but I'm gonna try and mix this up first so I don't crush the bay leaves. And 2 bay leaves. I'll try and find ones that aren't broken if I can. All right, we got a big and a little. I'm just gonna shove those like that. Try not to lose those because you're going to have to fish them out later when you put the potatoes on top. But then just put your lid on. Slow cook. This is 6 hours on low. I think that sounds good, so let it go. And this did not have a lot of specifications, so it did not tell me when to put the potatoes on. So what I'm going to do is, with about 45 minutes to an hour left, I'm gonna put the potatoes on it, cover it back up, and let it go. And then I will broil it just to get it nice and crispy on the top. But I think I'm gonna do it at about the 45-minute mark. For the mashed potato part, I'm trying this bag from Ore-Ida in the frozen department. I have never tried these ever, but they seem so simple. And my kids don't really like the ones in the refrigerated part, like, what is that, Bob Evans, whatever they are. My kids don't really like those, so I'm gonna give this a try tonight. And I'm literally gonna follow the directions on the bag, so I'm not actually gonna film that part, but whatever it says there, that's what I'm doing. I'm just gonna use my jacket. All right, fish out the bay leaves. I wanna like break this up a little bit and mix it up. Frozen mashed potatoes doesn't make a whole crazy amount, so I'm hoping it's enough to cover the top of this. So I'm gonna put little dollops, and then I will flatten it out. Okay, I think it's already bubbling through them. So we're gonna leave that as is. And I'm gonna check it in probably about 30 minutes and make sure it's not a crazy mess. Put the lid back on. 30 minutes remain. Let's take a look what the potatoes have done. Okay, so they're definitely bubbling through. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and stop and put it under the broiler. I'm aware traditional cottage pie does not have a cheese layer. We love the cheese, so we're putting on some shredded cheese before it goes in the oven. This is just normal cheddar.
The whole bag?
Yep, finish it off. Turning off the cooker. Putting this straight under the broiler. I'm gonna try like 3 minutes. Okay. That's going back in there. Look at it, it's gorgeous. Oh, you can see all the bubbling. It smells incredible. I have never once thought about doing a shepherd's pie or cottage pie in a slow cooker. This is insane. I'm gonna serve this up, see what it looks like. Look at it. That looks fantastic. Oh my goodness. Yes, that looks great. Clean plate club on this one for me. The kids was a definite no. They like the normal easy shepherd's pie that's literally just like the meat, corn, potatoes, and cheese. That's their wheelhouse, not this. I personally love the simple execution where it was literally just throw it all in there, add the potatoes at the end, and it's good to go. But a normal shepherd's pie isn't really that much more work. Now, if you're going to do the one that I make from Alton Brown on on Food Network years ago, that one's really good. But this one was missing corn and it didn't have any peas, and I think we were all missing that, to be honest. Otherwise, that is the last recipe for this video. I'm already working on a fully Halloween themed dinner video. Now, I will go ahead and warn you guys, when I do Halloween stuff, sometimes it goes a little far. Like if you've seen my raw meat treats, it literally looks like ground beef, but it's Rice Krispie treats. So that video is going to be a lot of fun, but it is gonna be on a scale of slightly Halloween to probably really Halloween. We'll see when I get there. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for being here. I really hope you enjoyed it. Got more recipes to try for your family. Let me know down below if there's any other ones you found you want me to try before you waste your time on it, and I'll let you know. If you're new, subscribe, thumbs up, all that, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.